Hello, in this lecture we'll take a look at the headers and footers for your pages, or for one of your pages. You'll see how that works. But first of all, we have just an empty little page going here, right? Nothing fancy. And the way you find them, the way you access those inputs for headers and footers, there is actually one very simple and straightforward way. You can simply go to the top of your page, almost like that, okay? So just to the top and then double click it. See, now I can insert a header. If I go down to the bottom, I can actually insert a footer as well. Okay, now I exit it, I double click that again, I exited it, like that. I can enter it again. Once you are in the headers and the footers and all that stuff, you can see quite a few things. First of all, it is gonna be header and footer tab. A new tab will appear, okay, like that. And then you can maybe enter some text, okay? Say test text. Nothing fancy here, but this is where you would put perhaps your letterhead, okay, like that. You would go somewhere, say online pictures, okay? You would get the one that you need. Let's go with an apple of sorts. Say this one, okay? Insert. See, now it's inserted in the header. I can minimize it, make it a bit smaller. And you may actually notice, you see, there is a bit of a margin going, okay? So I can go to header and footer, and you see a header from top. I can make it smaller, okay? Bit of a lower margin I can make. And the same will actually go for the bottom part as well. It's all quite useful, but again, you have to know how to adjust it yourself. There is no particular way to do that. Perhaps you do have some guidelines, perhaps you are a student, you need to write something like that with some guidelines, so do be careful about them. But generally, when you do some kind of a beautiful, presentable work, you do want to adjust it according to your own accord, basically. Now, we also have something called different first page and different odd and even pages. Okay, so we won't get into that too much, but basically we should first take a look at the date, time and page number and all that stuff, and then you will see how that works. These different first page and odd even pages are quite important, especially with different first page, because the first page, the title page, usually does not have any number on it. Okay, so that's quite important. Now, if we go to say page number, you can see that we have kind of like predefined numbers. You see top of page, so that would be in the header. If I insert that, say plain number 1 like that, okay, will be inserted in the footer, actually, in the top of a footer. We have that in the top of a footer like that. And if you wanted something else, you can do current position is where you are at with your cursor, just like that. Page margins, basically on the margin it would sit, okay. You can do this one, for example, just to see. You see it kind of goes on the margin. It doesn't go into the header or into the footer. It just goes kind of on the side there. I would actually say to try and avoid this one, especially if you write an ebook. That might be a bit troublesome. It may get rearranged in a sort of a bad way. Okay, but we can actually just select that and delete that, just like that. Okay. And then we have date time. This one's quite an interesting one. So you basically just select a date and it will be inserted. Nothing fancy about that, and not really useful, I would say. Then we have document info. Okay, so the author. We haven't looked at this yet. You'll later see how you can actually insert the author name and all kinds of other file data into the actual file, not into these text fields, not into the actual pages, okay? But if you wanted a predefined one, this is where you would find them. And then you see now I'm in the header. If you want to jump to the footer, click this one, you would jump to the footer. Just like that, you can start editing the footer like that. Okay, nothing, again, quite fancy about that, but you just really need to know how to select it, how to get into it. Okay, now I'm gonna close that like that. Okay, now it's closed like that. Let's get out of it. And you see I'm now working in the page. If I go to the top, I can't really select it. Okay, now let's do another page. 3 pages let's do. And you can see now 1. You see 1 footer, then 2 footer. Then in the bottom, if I can get down to that, we have 3 footer. So basically, when you enter some text, it actually goes to every page of a footer and the header alike. However, in some cases, you may only need that in an odd and even page and stuff like that. But we generally want to focus now for the first page. So if I double click that, I'll do different first page like that. Okay. So now it gives me kind of an option to do a different, just to basically close that like that. Okay, and you see I have nothing at all in the first page. So again, the way you access the headers, you kind of go to the top, okay, to the top, double click it, and where you close them, you just simply close them. Now there is another way. You can simply go to insert tab like that. Okay, and then go right here. You have header and footer in the header and footer section, right? And you can do something like that. The blank type here, you see. And actually, when I clicked that, it kind of overrode everything, so do be careful about that. But this is, again, basically how you access everything. Headers and footers, and then you can edit your stuff, select some default values and do things like that. And with that, we will conclude this lecture.